For your information, once again, you are welcome to the headquarters of the New Patriotic Party. Our energetic, hardworking, intelligent, indefatigable national organizer today will be addressing us in the person of lawyer Henry Nanabuache. But before he comes, let me take the opportunity to introduce to you a few national officers here with us. We have our third vice national chairman here, Honorable Masaoud Chairman Buga is here with us. We have a couple of constituency and regional officers here. I can see the acting regional youth organizer for Greater Accra, my very good friend, Mandela. At this point, with your permission, I call on the hardworking national organizer to mount the podium. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my good friend, Krobia. Ladies and gentlemen from our cherished media houses, good afternoon and welcome to the headquarters of the New Patriotic Party. We have called you here to address three critical issues. That is the shocking conduct of the Special Prosecutor, Mr. Akufo-Addo, in declaring Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, as a fugitive and also a wanted person. And also we'll be addressing the unconstitutional revocation of appointment and recruitment. You recall that the Chief of Staff, through a directive to all state institutions, directing them to revoke all appointment made after December 7th, 2024. And again, the obnoxious nolle prosequi that freed individuals who have cases to answer in court and to the Ghanaian people. These are issues that should concern all Ghanaians, because if left, we need to address these issues in its proper perspective. They can collectively undermine the due process provisions of our laws and the human right of citizens. It can also unduly interfere in the work of the judiciary, and it will weaken our cherished democracy. Yesterday, Mr. Akufo-Addo held a press conference and declared Ken Ofori-Atta, the former Minister of Finance, a fugitive from justice. It is baffling that a special prosecutor, a lawyer, and a law lecturer could make such basic mistake in labeling a person of interest who has not been charged and remains in contact through his lawyers as a wanted individual or a fugitive. Isn't that odd? A respected legal personality, a former director of the Ghana Law School, Mr. Ansan Asare, says that this act is not only barbaric, but uncouth, uncivilized, and unethical. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Ofori-Atta is not evading accountability, as the OSP claimed. On January 2nd, 2025, he wrote a letter to the then Chief of Staff, Madame Frima Oseo-Pare, that he was traveling to the United States for a follow-up medical visit. He included his current and reliable contact information at the end of the letter. On January 22nd, 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta again wrote to the new Chief of Staff, Mr. Julius Debra, to inform him that he was overseas for a medical examination. He concluded his letter with the following: please do not hesitate to reach out if there is any information you will need in the interest of the state regarding the fact that I've been or I've held some formal positions in government. Mr. Ofori-Atta also provided reliable email addresses for any required communication. He also attached his letter to the former Chief of Staff for Mr. Debra's reference. 2 days after he wrote this letter to the Chief of Staff, the Special Prosecutor sent a letter, and this was January 24th, 2025, sent a letter to Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence regarding a directive to appear at the office of the Special Prosecutor on Monday, February 10th, 2025. That was the date for him to appear, to discuss suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses. The letter also enumerated 4 matters being investigated by the OSP. Then on January 31st, Mr. Ofori-Atta responded to the Special Prosecutor's letter through his lawyer, stating that our client notified the former Chief of Staff in earlier January and more recently informed the current Chief of Staff about his trip outside the country for medical reasons. Our client is currently undergoing medical observation and test, which will lead to a decision about his treatment. After that, he will have a clearer idea of when to proceed to Ghana. Therefore, we respectfully wish to inform you that we will notify you of his arrival to the country so that you can reschedule your invitation to him for purposes stated in the heading of your referenced letter. Then on 5th February 2025, the Special Prosecutor responded to Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyer, stating that the OSP declines your request to be away from the jurisdiction indefinitely on medical grounds based solely on your statement. You are required to indicate by the close of business on Monday, February 10th, 2025, a reasonable date for your return to the jurisdiction and attendance to the OSP. If you fail to do so, the OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure your return to the jurisdiction and your attendance to the OSP in our discretion. Let me make this reference quickly. You recall that there was also another matter the OSP was investigating, the famous Airbus, the intermediary 1, intermediary 2 to 5 issue. Mr. Kisieja being told us in August last year that he traveled all the way to UK to interview Sam Mahama, John Mahama's brother, intermediary 5. So what stopped him from doing same to the former minister? This is somebody who is saying that I'm seeking medical attention. The health facility wrote a letter to the OSP. It was signed, dated, and it was an authentic letter. So if you think that you need a person badly for your investigation, just as you traveled to UK to interview Sam Mahama, what then stopped you from doing same to former finance minister? What is so urgent that you cannot wait? What is so urgent that if he could have waited 2 years before he interviewed Sam Mahama in the famous Airbus issue, then why this haste? And even if you do the calculations, we are talking about just within a space of 2 weeks. So you request the presence of somebody. The person say that I'm out of the jurisdiction for medical attention. You have received letters from his lawyers. You have received letters from the hospital signed by a medical doctor. And all of these correspondence is just within 2 weeks. Then, quickly, you label the person as a fugitive. Very, very bizarre situation. On February 7th, 2025, in a reply to the special prosecutor's letter of February 5th, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyer stated, "Please find the attached document indicating that our client is receiving attention at the Mayo Clinic in the US. It outlines his appointment and suggests a date after March when our client may be able to return to Ghana." A date after March. March is just next month. The letter from Mayo Hospital stated that Mr. Ofori-Atta was undergoing further testing and management, including possible surgical intervention in March 2025. The hospital's letter provided reliable contact, a doctor's name, the department name, a phone number, a reliable email address. It was also stamped Mayo Clinic authentic document with a signature and a date. Nonetheless, the correspondence between the OSP and the lawyers on February 11th, 2025, 12 men, including 1 police officer, 4 military personnel, and 7 unidentified individuals in plain clothes raided Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta's home. Video footage of the raid reveals that one Richard Japa, a third accused in the famous ambulance trial case, accompanied the men into the residence of Mr. Ofori-Atta, all armed to the teeth. Ladies and gentlemen, the OSP is being unreasonable considering the ongoing communication between Ken Ofori-Atta and the OSP office concerning his health. Additionally, the treatment letter from the Mayo Clinic should demonstrate that he is indeed receiving care. My little knowledge in law reveals that if somebody is declared a fugitive, it means that person cannot be reached, cannot be traced. You don't even know where the person is. And at least you give yourself a reasonable time after a search. In any case, the OSP lacked that power to declare anybody wanted. It is only the court that can do so. If the special prosecutor's letter from January 24th had prompted Mr. Ofori-Atta to leave Ghana, the OSP might be justified in harboring suspicion. However, Mr. Ofori-Atta was already out of the country well before OSPs contacted him. He traveled on the 2nd of January, and your letter to him came in on the 24th of January. So how could the man be labeled as a fugitive when he was already in the country? Indeed, he was not even the finance minister about 8 months before the elections. And you, Mr. Kise Jaben, you were the special prosecutor. And he was in the country throughout. For 8 months to the election, you could not invite the person. The person steps out of the country for medical attention. And it is not as if you wrote to the person before he traveled. Your letter came 2 weeks after he had traveled. And yet, you unreasonably label this person as a fugitive. Very, very, very unreasonable. To avoid any misunderstanding, since he was appointed Minister of Finance in 2017, Mr. Ofori-Atta has consistently demonstrated unwavering transparency and respect in response to all legal inquiries and state investigation involving him. The Eurobond conflict of interest probe by SRAJ, the vote of censure by Parliament readily comes to mind. Mr. Ofori-Atta has remained present, fully engaged, and open with the relevant authorities throughout these proceedings. His long history of openness and cooperation reinforces a commitment to upholding the highest standards of integrity. Mr. Ofori-Atta can never be a fugitive. He is not a fugitive, and he will never be a fugitive. The OSP got it wrong. He got it wrong. Once Mr. Ofori-Atta's doctors declare him fit and healthy, he will return to the country. Until then, the special prosecutor should avoid making sensational statements, provoking public emotions, and creating drama over the matter that could have been adequately resolved through correspondence. If you label your former finance minister as a fugitive, which indeed is not so, what you are doing is that it's a national embarrassment. It amounts to national embarrassment. When indeed, the length of your correspondence is just 2 weeks, and you can't wait. It's not as if the person is lost. The person cannot be traced. Again, the special prosecutor also mentioned in his press statement yesterday that the former National Petroleum Authority boss, Honorable Dr. Sheikh Mustafa Abdul Hamid, is a subject matter of investigation. Again, in a very bizarre situation, you put together a press conference, you state that Dr. Mustafa Hamid is a subject matter for some investigations, that is corruption-related offenses. Yet at the time you were making such a statement, Dr. Mustafa had not even received even a text message, even a letter, even a phone call, nothing, no correspondence that you need him for investigation. Is this fair? Is that how you do your work? It is interesting to note that Honorable Mustafa has not received any invitation from the special prosecutor or any state investigative body, nor has he been under any investigation for any said alleged crime. Let me state that the NPP, we are going to cooperate with any state investigative body. We are. The NPP, our members, past CEOs, past officials, anybody, we are going to fully cooperate. Let it be known that the New Patriotic Party and our members are law-abiding and will cooperate fully with any state institution. But however, we will reject any form of political harassment. Any form of political harassment. What happened in Mr. Ofori-Atta's house is very unfortunate. We are not in a jungle. What happened there? And for the special prosecutor to even say that his intelligence revealed that what happened in Mr. Ofori-Atta's house was staged, managed. It was staged by himself. It's very unfortunate. When especially we have CCTV footages showing all of these men in uniform, all the vehicles used, and one Japa leading the men. So the OSP got it wrong. What kind of intelligence is he gathering? What kind of intelligence? Ladies and gentlemen of the media, let's move on to the next issue. The government's illegal directive to nullify or to revoke public service appointments made after December 7th, 2024 is regressive, potentially detrimental to the democratic gains and governance in Ghana. The President's directive to the Chief of Staff instructing heads of government agencies to nullify or to revoke all public service appointments made after December 7th is poor integrity of Ghana's public service recruitment processes. Public service recruitment in Ghana is not arbitrary. It follows strict bureaucratic processes with multiple levels of approval before hiring a personnel. Any agency must obtain financial clearance or board approval from the relevant authorities. In some cases, even from Public Services Commission. You must secure financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance, incorporate new hires into its annual budget planning, and adhere to specific timelines set by the Ministry of Finance, which often spans months or even years. So the processes of recruitment is not just an event. Ladies and gentlemen, it is absurd to suggest that public services could bypass all these public agencies, could bypass all these procedures after December 7th, 2024, and illegally recruit staff. The mere date of appointment does not invalidate the due process that was followed before these individuals were hired. If recruitment occurred within an approved financial clearance period, retroactively nullifying these appointments clearly violates administrative justice and employment rights. Further, Ghana's labor laws protect employees from arbitrary dismissals. Appointments that follow proper procedures establish legal contracts between employees and the state. A blanket cancellation of such appointment would constitute unlawful termination, exposing the government to potential lawsuit. Accordingly, the letter signed by the Chief of Staff, he stated that the recruitments were made in the public services are not in compliance with established good governance practice and principles. It is worthy to note that this so-called good governance practice and principles can never be grounds for termination of appointment. In his letter, he never mentioned that these recruitments were done illegally, they did not follow due process. He never mentioned so. He only said that it was against good governance and practices, all because the people received their appointment letters on the 7th of December 2024. Constitutionally, every government has a 4-year mandate. And it is clear when the mandate will expire. So before the exit of any government, that government duly, under the Constitution, can undertake any exercise, including recruitment. Ladies and gentlemen, this revocation will destroy livelihoods. We are talking about the police, those who have been recruited, the police, military. We are talking about fire service, immigration, SEPS. We are talking about GRA. We are talking about all institutions So we are talking about thousands of jobs, mass unemployment. The most immediate and devastating consequences of this directive is the mass unemployment. Thousands of Ghanaians who have legally secured jobs will suddenly find themselves without work, not due to incompetence or redundancy or any illegality, but because of a certain political expediency. This decision will also plunge thousands of families into financial distress, worsening the already difficult economic condition. It will also discourage young professionals from pursuing careers in public service, as it indicates that job security is subject to a political current. The government must recognize that public service appointments are not gifts. They are legitimate job opportunities, and through due process, these affected workers are not just numbers, they are fathers, they are mothers, they are recent graduates, they are breadwinners. They have committed themselves to national service. Their fate should not be decided by politically motivated directive. The New Patriotic Party has a duty to defend Ghanaians against such unjust directive. We will not support the Mahama administration in destroying the livelihoods of Ghanaians who have gone through the process to secure their appointment. On December 19th, 2016, when the NDC lost, I recall the former President Mahama, then now President Mahama, through the same chief of staff, made key appointments. In fact, on the 16th of December 2026, that was when they appointed the Auditor General, the former Auditor General, Mr. Domlevo, who is part of the discredited ORA. Key appointments were made. Mr. Joseph Whittle, Ms. Josephine Nkrumah, and Mr. Daniel Domlevo to lead SHRAJ, National Commission for Civic Education, and the Office of the Auditor General, respectively. Additionally, on December 20th, 2016, President Mahama, through the Finance Ministry, also increased, I recall, the National Service Allowance from 350 Ghana cedis to 549 Ghana cedis, effective January 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, the NPP government under President Akufo-Addo did not cancel these appointments. We honored them. Likewise, we did not dismiss John Mahama's last-minute appointment or last-minute increase to the National Service Allowance. We honored all of these. This is how democratic governance should function. It's supposed to be a continuum. Therefore, President Mahama cannot revoke the appointment of these recruitments, just as President Akufo-Addo took responsibility for his last-minute appointment in 2016. He must also take responsibility for the appointment made legitimately, whatever date within 2024. Now, because this directive lacked basis and it was not well grounded in law, you realize that there have been a lot of abuses. When you go to Ghana Water, I saw a communique from the Chief Executive Officer saying that for him, he has revoked all appointments from November 2024. Why? Because when he took office, he noticed that the appointment made at Ghana Water were in November 2024. So if he is supposed to stick to the directive of the Chief of Staff, he will not get anybody to sack. So he had to go back to November 2024. Very bizarre. So because this directive lacked proper legal grounding, it's been a subject of abuse. by so many state institutions. And this is very, very unfair. We urge Ghanaians whose livelihood are at risk due to this unfortunate directive from President Mahama's administration to remain strong and recognize that the New Patriotic Party is dedicated to protecting their legitimate jobs. The NPP will fully support any legal action to undo this illegality, this wrongful termination of appointment. I am already in court. I've already directed my lawyers. Today, as I speak, they will serve all processes. They are going to file all processes today. We are in court to challenge the unconstitutional act of the president, and the New Patriotic Party will support any legal action to undo this illegal and wrongful termination of appointment. We also encourage the affected persons to come together and seek legal redress. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mahama's administration is a growing disaster, particularly in the fight against corruption. As you know, the government established oral committee. For us, it looks like the committee was just set up as a political persecution mechanism. Why? I have a report in my hands, and I'll read it. The former Chief Executive Officer of Microfinance and Small Scale Center, Maslow, St0rms Ken, has been sentenced to serve 10-year prison with hard labor. The conviction stems from misappropriation of funds allocated for Maslow activities between 2013 and 2016. Over 17 million Ghana cedis, which was meant to be disbursed to victims of fire incident at Kantamanto, was misappropriated by the accused. The report that was presented to former President Mahama, and even the ones that we've seen circulating, I've not seen even a sentence or even a page talking about St0rms Ken, somebody or who misappropriated. He was a former CEO of Maslow. And for this person, the entire matter has gone through our court processes. The court made pronouncement. He's been sentenced to 10 years in prison. Yet, the oral committee whatsoever did not find it appropriate to tell Ghanaians where St0rms Ken is. Indeed, I'm even surprised that even yesterday when the Attorney General had the press conference, I was thinking, because this is a pending issue. This is some monies misappropriated, 70 million. I was thinking that the Attorney General will even mention it, that maybe they've been taking steps to make sure that St0rms Ken will be brought back to Ghana. She rather is a fugitive, not Mr. Ofori-Atta. She rather is a fugitive, not Mr. Ofori-Atta. President John Dramani Mahama has promised OCAL instead of oral. President Mahama now, according to Manasseh Azori, is the Republic's chief clearing agent. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mahama cannot shift the chief clearing agent tag to the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni. Yesterday at the press conference, you saw how the Attorney General struggled to say that President Mahama did not direct him to file noli prosequi, and that he made a decision independently. I mean, this is bizarre, and for me, this is even more worrying. such important matter, a minister tasked with the construction of 5,000 units of houses, $200 million involved. We did not get the 5,000 units. We rather got uncompleted 1,005 units. The said minister was in court, and the Attorney General entered into a nolle prosequi, and he's been appointed. You have a situation where there is a $66 million scandal hanging around the neck of the former Senate boss, Mr. Ernest Thompson. And instead of him to answer to Ghanaians through the court, again, the Attorney General entered into a nolle prosequi, cleaned this person. He says, go home. And then you have a former deputy governor in charge of banking supervision, advancing a colossal amount of 400 million or so to a dying, to a collapsing bank. And he's in court to answer. The Attorney General goes to court, picks this man up, clears him of all charges. Then the following day, interestingly, he is appointed governor, Bank of Ghana. So you ask yourself, President Mahama, so is it the case that you cannot get anybody at all to be governor, Bank of Ghana, and you must appoint somebody with heap of cases around us, with so many issues around his neck? He is answering a case in court, a case involving over 400 million Ghana cedis or so. And the Attorney General goes in, picks him up, clears him, then the following day he's appointed governor. Meanwhile, you are chasing after certain ghost document from ORA. And then you have Mr. Domlevot saying that even all the documents they have gathered, it must be audited before it can be credible. Can you imagine? You've been given a work to do, and then you present your report, and now you are telling us that even the work that you have done is not even correct. It's not even solid, and that we must audit it again. This is the kind of situation we find ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, the Attorney General can tell this story that the president wasn't aware. What kind of governance is that? That you drop such important cases in court, involving former ministers, involving somebody you intended to appoint the governor, Bank of Ghana. You made all of these decisions without the input of the president, and the president wasn't aware. Said this to some children by the fireside, but not to us. President Mahama appointed him and instructed him to clear the NDC members whilst taking steps to prosecute opponent using a certain discredited aura. Even their chairman cannot even declare his assets. He says that he stays in Airport Hills. A plot in Airport Hills is about $500,000. He says he's not the owner of the mansion he stays in. A big mansion with swimming pool, 8-bedroom, big mansion. He says that he's been renting this building for the past 8 years. From our checks, it is between $15,000 to $20,000 a month. He told the committee, the vetting committee, that the only source of income for him is the money he receives as an MP. You let's add all his sitting allowance, committee allowance, all of that. His pay is 20,000. All the allowances put together, let's say 40,000. And then you stay in a 220,000 Ghana cedis a month house. You, ORA committee chairman, you cannot even declare your assets. You cannot even disclose your source of income. So where do you get money apart from the 40,000, that where do you get money to fund all of these 220,000 rent you pay every month? In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, this Mahama government has deceived Ghanaians. A candidate who campaigned to reduce the cost of living is now busily undermining people's livelihood by revoking their appointment. Candidate or President John Dramani Mahama, who promised to uphold the laws and combat corruption, instead is clearing alleged wrongdoers and turning blind eye whilst the OSP abuses the law to target his political opponent. The NDC did not promise this to Ghanaians. Based on the experience so far, the reset President Mahama promised is a deterioration of Ghana's modest gains. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana needs an upgrade, not just a regressive reset we are experiencing only a month into President Mahama's governance. We invite Ghanaians to join the effort to hold the Mahama government to strict accountability. Thank you very much. So, many of yebekano twi so yebebono yebekano tetio bono tofa nietie enra ana special prosecutor a friend St0rms nhemudi and St0rms nhemudi a ofre ye osi yewra Ken Ofori-Atta or former finance minister we declare no wanted obi a odwane free attention. Abusiafo yewra Ken Ofori-Atta busumi etwemu ada na etosumienu na ofiri oman mu okọ osre kwan every chief of staff ye ma me frima ho ebra yewra chief of staff ofra o we ba yewra Julius Debra e ba yi osa tro krata esa adema no say o we free oman mu na say o hia bibi information bi san say ni dibra no wadi wa ban mu a obehia no ewo eye o provide kwan obefa so ode bema no ene abeso email ni ade nyane na address ni ba bia ne phone number ni nyama no eye na anu ye 24th and a special prosecutor out on a krata se wo hia no na na di komo na asembia beto ani ma o ye mu hwehwemu ye ra Ken Ofori-Atta lawyer for echrobre o se ewo mu watu kwan kra che kakọ besu mu ni enu watu kwan enti no o hwe na mpomudi na yaresa enti obo beba o si da bi wonte ho ase enti no omomfa ebre a obeba emra omo kan ya na afi hospital krampa yewra Ken Ofori-Atta wo no omo to krata e de bre wo se aha no wo hwe na abehu no wa ha eni na enu ani nansa eni ehu se asrafo eni opani ba ko a ye fre no japa edi enimu a omo akọ yewra Ken Ofori-Atta fi akoye tu trase mabra emra bia ma ho kwan awurawura dan mu honom ensem fata yewra special prosecutor embeka asem yenti a wose wo hwehwe yewra Ken Ofori-Atta wo hu no na eno na ya asefem san se ye kase obi dwane afiri mra ho na se nipa no hwe na kira kwan kra wo hu no wayira na chi yewra Ken Ofori-Atta ekọ wasre kwan okoye wasa tro krata asre kwan ohonso ne na lawyer for di kwa edi nsawoso wasa kra the hospital a okọ no kra krata asa kwa koma last year ebra na special prosecutor kro ye wo ye hwehwemu airbus ho asem usi wo hia opani ba ko yewra Mahama nua ba ko na na di nkomo wo fa plane ekọ UK ho ene ko di nkomo eti se wo pese ohumu no kra a ana ade na wo fa plane na wo so nko hospital ho na wo so nko hwe ho no ne ehu ne se ne yewra special prosecutor ye no eye adia entwaye ensem fata sebe yewra Ken Ofori-Atta onyane nko ba bia na mamenkasi so dua nso se NPP party ene ye members ene obia na owa ban mu bia no ye nwane emfiri atenten ne ho na emom se ye fa kwati kwan na yɛde animguaseɛ kwan bi ɔyaw kwan bi na yɛde pɛ sɛ egu obi anim aseɛ sanse we die nka yɛ no ane sɛ na amen na wɔtwe mienu pɛ na obi twerɛ krataa afei wo so hwɛ nipa na wo hu no ɛyɛ asɛm a asefem ebiem so wahwɛ a yɛpɛni baako a ɔno nso wɔ NPA Dr. Sheikh Mustafa Hamid ɔno nso special prosecutor ɛbɔ ne din ka sɛ o ɔno nso ɛyɛ under investigation ɛnima bi akɔ so a yɛhwehwem yɛwura Mustafa Hamid ne nsa nka krataa koraa ɛbrɛ a wo gyina simpie so ana ne nsɛntwerɛfoɔ di nkɔmmɔ a wɔka saa asɛm no koraa no na onim ho hwee onka bibia nkyerɛ no onye bibia bato ɔbɔ ne din ɛnyɛ saa ne ɛyɛ adwuma na ɛka me akɔyɛ sɛ bia wopɛ sɛ ɔbɔ nipa ne din na wode gu ne ho fia na sɛ asɛ wopɛ sɛ ɔka asɛm bi sɛ wohwɛ ne na wonhu no ana ɛnyɛ nokorɛ the New Patriotic Party yɛ members ɔmo a ɔmo asom ɛwɔ aban yɛ atwa mu yɛn yɛgye mmara di yɛbu mmara yɛn nwane mfiri atɛntene ne ho na mmom sɛ yɛfa kwati kwan bi ne agu nipa ne mu asɛ ne yɛka asɛm a ɛnyɛ nokorɛ deɛ yɛngye ntom sɛ yɛfa kwan bi so sɛ yɛpɛ sɛ yɛde ahunahuna bi ɛba obi akwan mu deɛ yɛngye ntom da na mmom no deɛ we are ever ready yɛayɛ krado sɛ yɛbɛsom sɛ yɛne aban dwumakuo bi a ɔyɛ nhwɛmu biara no yɛne ne bɛdi dwuma ne ɛtɔ so mmienu na ano yɛkɔda sɔre yɛn so a ɔpɛni Julius Debra sɛ Ghanafoɔ a yɛafa ɔmo adwuma ɛfiri afe atwa mu ɛyɛ December 7th ne nyinaa yɛyi ɔmo nyinaa di nti ɔmo a ɔmo police ɔmo a ɔmo kɔ immigration ɔmo kɔ prisons ɔmo kɔ fire service ɔmo a ɔmo yɛ nursingfoɔ adɔctafoɔ ɔmo a yɛfa ɔmo civil service mu ɛne ɔmo nyinaa na ɔmo nyɛ ɔmo nkrataa local government mu ɛne obiara na ɔmo nyɛ ɔmo nkrataa ɛyɛ December 7th no ɛkɔ no deɛ yɛyi obiara di asɛm wo atwitwe aso etiatia mmara so yɛwura Mahama sɛbe mmara na ɛde wobaeɛ wosɔ afenaa mu saa yɛ sɛ woba bɛbɔ Ghana mmara ho ban na wahyɛ mu kena woama sɛ woba bɛtiatia Ghana mmara so yɛwura Mahama mmara de wobaeɛ no bɔhyɛ a wohyɛ Ghanafoɔ no sɛ wode adwuma ɛɛba wanka so woba bɛtwitwa adwuma mu enti wei ɛnam mmara kwan so na wohwɛ krataa a yɛwura Julius Debra de baeɛ kwan bɔ na ase fam ne ɔkae na sɛ adwuma a yɛde ma ɔmo no asɛ ɛne amamuo papa ɛnkɔ ɛno nso ne deɛ medwuma mente aseɛ ɛno nso ne deɛ good governance and practice ɛno nso ne deɛ ɛnyɛ sɛ bi ɔka sɛ ɔmo nam kwati kwan bi so ɔmo nam mmrabɔne so yɛamfa mmara papa so yɛangye tumi abusua ansa na yɛbɛfa obi ɛwɔ adwuma mu no ɛwɔ aban mu no ogye financial clearance ebi wɔ kora for Ministry of Finance ebi wɔ hɔ nom a board no ayɛ sɛ ɔmo hwɛ sɛ ɛyɛ ampa sɛ enipa a yɛɛfɛ yi yɛwɔ ho akandeɛ a yɛbɛtumi de atu ɔmo ka ɔmo nsɔre prɛko pɛ ɛmfa nipa eti enipa thousands of jobs ɛna yɛwura Mahama ɛnam the chief of staff sɛ wɔtwam abusua sɛ yɛma obi akonya so ɔma mɛyɛ ɔmampani anaasɛ aban bi ba yɛma no mfie 9 mfie 9 no mu no afe biara bɛfa nipa na yɛwura Julius Debra ne wura fi sɛ 2016 ɛberɛ a na ɔsa yɛ chief of staff kɔ naa no ɛberɛ a ɔfi aban mu 16 December ɔno ɔsan krataa wɔ appointee auditor general director no nso wɔ NCC ɛne Shraj ne nsa hyɛ krataa se a wɔ appoint yɛwura Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo ba wampam ɔmo wankase watwam appointment biara yɛwura Mahama apɛn so 2016 a ɔfiri so no yɛyɛ no yɛsuo mu ɛde yɛ adwuma eti wo ba ne obi ayɛ na nso ayɛ bi atoa so obi efa nnwuma na nso afa nnwuma ne bi atoa so no abi mo kra deɛ nyame ncha deɛ wo so de 24 hours economy ba eyi bɛyɛ adwuma anopa eyi bɛyɛ adwuma awia eyi bɛyɛ adwuma anwumrɛ eyi bɛyɛ adwuma ahomakye eti esi de na ne waba na ɛwɔ hɔ no nso no wutwam mesrɛ we ɛnam mmara kwan so na yɛn the New Patriotic Party yɛn tena hɔ ma Ghanafoɔ ntwa adwadwo saa obi bia ɔpɛ sɛ ɔnam mmara kwan so no ɔkɔ bia ne ta n'akyi me a megyina ha yi ɛnɛ yɛ ma lɔyafoɔ wɔ court a ɔmo de asɛm na kɔduru court sɛ daabi ɔpɛni Mahama ɛne ɔnoa no chief of staff ɛnyɛ mmara kwan so ɛna ɔmo nam no na omo nso a asem ya kan omo ye nuanom a asem ya kan omo anka omo ko police omo ko military omo ko immigration omo ko prison asem ya kan omo omo nso kan omo humom na ne also omo ye bi omo nye oye kire kra omo nye omo machi na omo fa nko ye Mahama ho omo fa petition koma no se omo so ye Ghana for se bi omo mfiri Burkina omo mfiri Togo omo mfiri Ivory Coast omo mfiri Nigeria Ghana here no omo mfiri no omo so ye Ghana for ye Mahama o promises say oba also be the father for all anameboa sa pepepe nti ene de ne bae ai ne baba o pamo Ghana for o menye adwuma eye nti e besere eno de enamra kwan so ba kokra ne to so miensa ne yawie ene se Yero Mahama ebra oba ye hu se utwa saboni bi a o se ka ho asem esi dan ena obi a ye de Ghana sika ama no $200 million se onkosi adan 200 units na mom went me 5,000 units went me 5,000 no o see 1,500 no kwan so wanwie ebu ha ya mboso ebu o kran pa foundation level ye nwie ya anya hwe na ye de na court na ye busa ye sika no ba bi akwa akodi a osuma wato ni general wo so onko yi ni mpie onpepa ne ho onhohoro ne ho we one man position say tax force hajj ono na endano Yura Collins Dauda anso ha usabo ra senator nso ye 66 million empanifo gina court say omabo aban ka aban sika oman ne basa nti omunyi omo ho ano omu gina ho no ma ye se omo enka omo asema ebie matoni genu akoya wakwa akoyi omo bia pepa omo sa asem ko ni akire biem na omu nkofie na omu nkodi omu juma $66 million anso ha former Bank of Ghana governor ono na ehwe banking sector so ona ye ehwe han ma banking sector iguye e ma microfinance savings and loans iguye ono kroya said the sika close to bear 400 million esa de ma banka onim se eguo na ekofom na asini trase na moje enwunu no sa tablis ka sa de komano opani gina court oyiyi na no na nia ahinta se me wo mu se onne enipa bi ahodo be nsia ena se gina court yewura attorney general yewura president Mahama Sumana okoye wakwakoyi onu nko apie ena wapepa ne ho the following day na he appointed the governor Bank of Ghana the following day he appointed no yewura Mahama yenye obia ni wa bem obetumi governor apart from nipa ye disi kasama for no ho no gina court court emu a ye court say onyina no wasoma watoni general so onko no nko yi nimpie enu nti na Manase Azuri say ene say ye ka the republic's Ghana's chief clearing agent commander in chief of all clearing agent aye wo na number 1 Yewura Mahama aye wo na number 1 san say wo de no kra de ano ohye na nia sefem kra ne say sedinam tamaklo na wo maslo court aye hwehwemu na court na no asema to dwa say 70 million Ghana cedis Ghana for dwadifo kantamanto ehye ye ka asem fa nkomo mo yamfa ama omo na emom ye se no ye ne basa maami onkodam mfiedu maami ebesi ne odno ho kanwura ye huno okra court say ono so ko medical assistant aba ono kra de yenim na kira kwan ono ne ye ka say obi ye fugitive ono adwane afiri atentene ne ho na Yewura Ken Ofori-Atta de onwane mfiri atentene ho enne me ka say Yewura Mahama bae onmo ho wa obi accord say yenye 70 million fi no onko fiase no onmo ho wa ne attorney general so enra oni media fo share no onka ho asem nti nwanwa atwetwe aso senti ba wo ka say wo keta se ne proye ne krono ye NPP mfofo aso wo so mfofo aso na ba ya nia court aka no onu kra no wakoyi na firi asefem ne yesre ne se Yewura John Mahama o 30 days ya wadi die e kamya ko ese eniema ekoso no enye ne mapa yen the new patriotic party yaka se obi bia owo abamu a osomye under NPP yen nsuro se ebehia atentene the new patriotic party so yegina obi bia achi na emom no enya ade a yebepene se yede ayakayaka de ehuru kasem basabasayo ɛne yɛde bɛtaataa yɛn nkɔɔfoɔ daabi da nti yɛn ɛkwan biara ne mmara kwan nam soɔ biara sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ yɛyɛ obiara nhwɛ mu biara no fully yɛ supporte sɛ yɛn nkɔ so yɛkora yɛbɛtaa yɛn nkɔɔfoɔ akyi abɛbɔ ɔmo akyi dɔm sɛ ɔmo ebɛtumi ne mmara no ahyia na emom sɛ hurukasɛm ayakayakadeɛ deɛ ɛnya adeɛ a yɛbɛgye ato mu da abusuafoɔ sɛ yɛfrɛ mo no a wei ne nsɛm a yɛde to mu nim medaase nyamasa
Thank you all for coming. We wish you well. Wait for Krobia. Krobia will come, so let us all wait. Yeah, yen train Krobia ba. Why? Said the WIA no yen train media people no. Arigus. Anyway. Okay. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe I need last time. Hello.